project 341. So, what are we looking at here? A warehouse. A warehouse? A house that is aware? A house that is self-aware? A warehouse, a house for wares. This is a confident, sturdy little box, and on first glance, I really like it, I have to say. I like the reference to the, those old industrial warehouse windows. I like this a lot. Let's see what we got next. Oof, very nice little page. Got the 3D model here. I don't know what this gives us that the last page sort of didn't give us. Really interesting model photograph here. Incredibly elegant, exploded, axonometric 3D. Really interesting facade image here. I think I really like this project. So let's see. On the waterfront, the presence of a large warehouse which seems to have always been there is intriguing. Continuation of the historical fabric, a playful port imagination, a capable wooden structure, compactness and circulation. This image, compared to this image, it's a little bit underwhelming, and that there's a real flatness to this one in a way. Although, yeah, I am reading these little details here, which is quite cool. Really fun model. Love this model. Love this model. I have not seen that many interior model photographs, actually, now that I think about it. I like the way the service equipment and everything is exposed. I love the way that the structure is exposed. I really like this project. It's very fun. And some references here at the end. Wooden assembly game, the playful station. Okay, where am I with this? I love a good confident box. I've been saying this since the beginning of this review series. I love a good confident box. There is a consideration for the way in which this box would be assembled, so top marks for that. There is a really chill sort of style to this presentation. Maybe that's to do with the cool neutral tones of the images overall, and the choice of material with the wood and the metal. I wonder about the efficiency of the plan and the grid that seems to be directly projected off of the facade in a way, or the way in which the facade is almost generated from the structural frame. And I guess what I'm getting to here is the ultimate criticism I have for this project is that it doesn't necessarily feel like a museum for architecture. It looks like a really cool, stylish, modular apartment block, or, speculative office unit, which is not intended as a criticism because it's a really cool project. It's just that maybe just in this presentation or in these images, it would be nice to understand, what makes it a museum of architecture. In that this image here, although it is fantastic, could be a breakout space for like a collection of young creative startups where they all kind of, I don't know, like WeWork vibes, So maybe that's the only real negative I have, and maybe you've nailed that in the other 7 pages that I do not have access to. So really, ultimately, what I'm saying is, as a piece of architecture, I love this project. I think it's really cool. It's really elegant. It's really subtle. It's very chill. The quality of the presentation is probably, not that I'm giving scores to anything, so I'm probably going to open a can of worms here, but maybe 9 out of 10, like really high. Maybe I don't love this image maybe, but that's, it's a very high score I would give this submission overall in terms of presentation and the design that's on display. So really, maybe I'll come back to this one. Maybe. A warehouse. I really love this. So well done. Well done. Next one. 342. Connection. This is a moody, broody, black and white image, which I quite like. Always a little bit concerned about the projects that get a little bit hungry, a little bit greedy, start snacking away at parts of the site that aren't really the site, start taking up territory. Although I do understand that there's a nice logic in that quite a few projects have sort of considered their project to be, one piece of a greater whole. I mean, in many ways. any type of civic architecture needs to be considered in the context of the city itself. But what I mean is it more in terms of the sort of final piece of the development that's ongoing over here. And in that respect, I think it's okay maybe to play a little bit with the harbour front that it really isn't in the site boundary. But I do find it a little bit sort of egregious in a lot of these entries. But maybe not this one. So let's see what we got. Image 2. Oh, I mean, obviously this is the intent, but like I can't look at this and not sort of get that impression that the building's falling over. Although I understand that's intentional. It's just a little bit not concerning, but distracting, I think. So we got this parallelogram looking boy here hanging out in the harbour. The museum is designed as a monolith that interacts with the urban landscape through large voids. It's quite an interesting page, actually. I haven't really seen this point of view yet. I don't know. It's a moody image. It's cool. Now, okay, this interior, it's this semi-interior, I suppose. It's sort of like it's like the space before the lobby. Looks fantastic. Looks incredible. Not so sure really how you resolve this. I don't know. I'm being picky. What's the point? What point am I trying to make here? It's just that this looks interesting and exciting. This not so much. I have to say, this looks a little bit one note. It's a little bit underwhelming, a little bit dull. This is interesting. This is interesting. And then this is a fantastic image. This really excites me. It's just that it sort of feels like the project has a lot to say but isn't really showing it. Like I'm not really understanding what the point is of the project so far, and I've already made it from 1, 2, 3, 4. So really I'm just looking at the images, the CGIs that are sort of here, and trying to just get what I can from that, which is all fair. So spatially this is interesting, but I don't fully understand the project. And again, this feels like this 5th page feels so out of place, and that we've sort of been given these other 4 pages that are just primarily CGIs. So I don't know. Connection, it's okay. I think it's an interesting project. I think that the style of presentation is a little bit mixed. We got these black and white images, which are really cool. I almost wish you kind of stuck with that, because I think the values on these images really allow me to sort of read the form and volume of your project, the mass of it. And then when we get here, it feels a little bit flat, that's all. But then this interior is quite nice. I like this light wall, although I don't know if it really is required or necessary. Like, I like the way you've got like the solid and the open space here, sort of all playing around in this little intersection. I'm not really saying a lot of sensible things. And this page, it's nice to see the views, but it's almost like maybe you ran out of budget for CGI images, so then started sketching, which is fine, which is good. I've been pushing that for most of this series. It's just that it just feels a little bit, again, out of place. So as a whole, it's a bit of a mixed bag of a presentation. And as a project, I think ultimately it's a little bit of a mixed bag as well. Just from what I can gauge from the 5 images here. So connection, I'm going to move it along. Next project, okay. First impression, and I've said this quite a lot, so I'm going to be consistent. This feels like 2 projects. We got this little floating glass box, and then we got this little snaky backward sea boy, just kind of creeping up on the glass box. Diagrams are really useful. Let's see, I'll come back to that in a second. It's a big wordy page, although diagrams, again. Okay, so I am sort of correct in that there is sort of 2 projects here. There's like a pink box and a yellow box. And I have to say it looks quite effective from here. This is a great image, very atmospheric. Love the quality of it. I love how we have this beautiful little light box up here, and then we have this really elegant green vertical screen concealing this sort of wedge volume. I'm talking nonsense. The interior, very nice, very good interior, very interesting. Nice to see there's a gallery space, an exhibition space. I know that might be technically against the rules, but I don't care. Reference images. So let's see, exploring and encountering, not just following. Architectural concept. Weaving together the park, the city centre, and the sea. You know, I'm not really going to go deeper with this. I'm just going to say I like it. I don't like the aerial view, and I don't think I like the diagrams. Maybe I don't like... Okay, so this is actually an interesting one. I don't really like the aerial view. I don't really like the diagrams. I don't really care much about the concept. But then, when I see the project at sort of street level, in a way that, any normal person would see the building, i.e. not from above in a helicopter or in this abstract diagrammatic form. The building's really nice. So really what I'm getting at is maybe I should just review all the projects from this one image alone. maybe that is what I should have done. So I think when I look at this, I'm like, what a cool project. Looks really interesting. Looks spatially exciting. The facade's really cool. It looks like a good project. I don't know if it will win, but I am a fan, Mira. You've convinced me. Interior's nice as well. So Mira, well done. I wish I had more to say, really. I'm not going to go too deep into your concept. I'm just going to look at the presentation overall. So as a presentation, 1, 2, 3, love this one, 4, 5. I think this image and this image kind of got me. So Mira, well done. Next project, museum without building. Museum without building. Don't forget to play alto, vase, alto vase, museum of future building, Helsinki. Okay, let's not get distracted by that for now. So there was a project in the last episode that I think a few of you in the comments called out for being, or not, didn't call it out, you just pointed out that it was AI generated. And it basically was heavily reliant on this sort of vase alto motif that we've seen in so many of these projects. And it was ultimately unsuccessful, in my opinion. This looks quite nice, I have to say. I like this. Interior's really cool. Sort of wondering about it acoustically. I don't know why I say that. I just look at it and have a feeling that this looks like a loud space. I don't know why I say that. But it looks kind of cool. I like the way that the floor plates are sort of visible and expressed through this really elegant facade that is swoopy and curvy and bendy. And then we got this sort of, holographic green stitched into it. The interior space looks really interesting and exciting. Like, I'm sort of really into the staircase, how these handrails work, and I don't know, I'm just kind of into it. It's a little bit, how do I say this? It's so, conceptually, it is so like so many of these. I would say maybe I've seen 100 projects that have sort of done this so far. But then what I see is actually kind of cool. Sketch is funky, like that for sure. Oh. Stands as a liquid vase, an evocation of the Alvar Aalto iconic vase. I cannot speak today. Light and reflective. Okay, so where am I going with this? Underwhelming image, underwhelming concept. Interior image, super exciting. Exterior image, fantastic. Personally, I love it. Interior image again, really exciting. Sketch, I like it. So, museum without building, I don't fully understand the title. I guess you almost sort of belong in your own category. And I call that category projects that reference the alto vase but do it well. And I think, okay, so maybe you're in that category with, I think, a couple of other projects. So you're a small niche little group. So well done. I think you're maybe one of 3 or 4 that have done that really well. So that's the best compliment I can give your project. Moving on. Viore. This looks interesting, but too big. Straight away, I see that. Diagrams, yeah, 2 intersecting volumes. And then there is some sort of diamond here. 2 atriums. The atrium functions as a public space and gateway. And it's funny, some projects really just are let down by the photorealistic images in that there isn't enough detail or resolution of detail in the design to necessitate a photorealistic image. And I would wager that that is probably my biggest problem with this project, in that so much of it is unresolved that when you actually look at it this way, that lack of resolution is just apparent. It's really obvious. And what I mean by that is sort of the way that the scale of the material on this part, this facet, sort of just doesn't really work well with this one. I'm sure that's intentional, all good, but it just looks funky. Interior. It's a nice interior. I love the projects that have these sort of, structural diagrams that really illustrate how the envelope works. That's fantastic. I think there's a really good project here. I'm just really distracted by this image and this image. The interior's nice. Not so sure how the stair works, but it's interesting. And it's nice seeing a sustainability strategy sort of shown to us through the section. And that looks like a great image. I don't know if that's a reference, though. I think it is. So Fiore, I think there's a lot to like here. I'm just sort of let down overall by this image and this image. And I always give this image generally a free pass because it's just a requirement. This one I give less of a free pass in the sense that I almost wager that it's probably a good idea for a lot of architects to almost design their project from this point of view in sketch format. Because I really think that's the best way to understand how the project would work with the city and the harbour. Because maybe I'm getting onto something here. I feel like a lot of the projects have sort of been designed in 3D, like from an aerial view, as an isometric little concept model. And then it's like, oh, we need this view. And then they look at it and they're like, yikes, whoa, okay. Whereas I would sort of try to refine it really from this point of view and this point of view as well, although I'm not a big fan of these images in general. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if you even need to hear what I have to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. There's a lot of good ideas here architecturally, but then I just think overall what's here is a bit unresolved maybe. Although technically there is a high level of consideration, so well done. Next one, soft hold. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a canopy. Looks interesting. Looks like a little stack of books. Really nice page, really nice diagrams. Pre-stressed masonry with waffle reinforced concrete slabs. Interesting. This is such a nice, cute little building in that it's just not aggressive or anything. You know, it's like, it just looks measured, considered. It's not really, there's nothing egotistical about this one at all. I really like the choice of materials here. I like the waffled. I like the concrete coffered ceiling. I like the way that works with the brick. I like the glazed blocks. I like this a lot. Very nice. Yeah, beautiful references. Where am I with this? I think it's a very good project. It looks very competent. It looks well considered, technically and architecturally. The presentation itself, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, top marks. My only concern is that it feels somewhat like a university building or like a library, less so a museum. I don't quite know how to say any more than that. It feels like university library, kind of. I don't know. But that doesn't mean it's not a really interesting, exciting piece of architecture. It's very much my taste, for sure. Just don't think I could see this one being shortlisted soft hold. But great work anyway. Yeah. So I'm going to leave it there. Next one, labyrinth and urban theatricality. I mean, yeah, this is like night and day compared to what we just looked at. So is it just me, or is this guy sort of turning its back on the harbour? It sort of feels that way. It's like a little snake. Museum as a convergence between labyrinth and urban theatricality. Okay. I have to say, I quite like this. Architecturally, I like it. As an image, I think the contrast is pretty extreme. It's very vibrant and a bit oversaturated. But I just love any project that sort of has this like mask where it's almost sort of concealing the spaces behind the mask. Like, I just love this effect, this sort of architectural phenomenon that certain types of projects can achieve. Although this is literally showing the whole city, everything, but I love that too. It's almost as if like the inside of the building is on display for the outside, for the public, the rest of the city. Struggling with words today. Great image. Yeah, I really like this. Maybe a little bit over articulated in a way, a little bit fussy, a little bit too much detail. Diagrams a bit complicated. And then ultimately, I don't think I like all of it. This is an interesting one. I like this image, and I like the way that the facade is treated, and I like the formal expression of the project overall from this point of view. But it does feel a little bit big and bulky, and I'm not so sure. Labyrinth and urban theatricality, I might have to come back to you. I like parts of the project for sure. Like, what's the edge detail here on this? How does this detail work? What is holding up this ceiling? I don't know. But it's cool. Cool project for sure. I'd like to understand what's generating all of this. So let's have a look. Let's get into it. Technical installations, public spaces, and theatrical boxes. Yeah, that's all fine. Yeah, the thing is, I think it works better as a theatre. And I don't think you misread the brief, but I think you sort of chose to sort of ignore it. Because as a gallery, I don't know if this project works. But the idea is it's convergence between labyrinth and urban theatricality. The thing is that I'm not entirely convinced. This is quite complicated. This is a complicated one to talk about. I like parts of it. I'm not sold on it overall. I might come back and talk about this one some more. Next one, D-Job 23. A couple of big boxes. Some interesting diagrams. Concrete. Some concrete boxes, or a bit of concrete. This looks a bit shiny and reflective though. I don't know if this is supposed to be shadow or reflection. Desaturated and a bit depressing of an image. I think this kid's just kind of exploring really. This kid's having an existential crisis, I think. Diagrams look interesting. It's okay, I guess. I think it feels a little bit dated. Why would you have a couple of big concrete blocks just sitting there? Maybe that's unfair. I don't like the sort of rusty metal on the roof. And this guy looks like he's going to work. I don't know. Next one, 50/50, one art laboratory where design and community converge. Looks like this guy, this is a project and it's sort of sitting on top of another project. Okay, diagrams look good. Interior image, I love the blue with the wood, looks fantastic. It's nice, playful style of image. You know, I much prefer the project from this point of view than from this one. This looks really fun. Lots of little bits and pieces, for sure. This is a stunning interior. I love the choice of colour. I love the way that the circulation is sort of colour-coded in a way, and then the structure has its own sort of code. It's fantastic. Beautiful images here. I wish I could see more of this project. I'd like to understand really what's generating so much of it. Because from the interiors alone and the diagrams, there's a lot to love, for sure. So this looks really cool, 50/50. I'm a big fan of this just based on the images alone. This looks a little bit big down here. But it's cool. I might talk about you some more. Cool. Next one, Archipelago. This looks very bitty and piecey. Again though, it looks like we've got a photograph of a model, so I'm going to love that. And this looks actually fantastic. Again, I just wish we didn't have to start. I wish we didn't have to start with this stupid aerial image, because this looks great. Really, really exciting facade. Really interested in it big time. Style of images, very grainy, very artistic in a way, very abstract, but I'm a fan. Love the detail, love the sketches, how to grow a building. So we posit that the museum is a workshop. It is a place where things are made, where ideas are developed, and where materials are transformed. It offers spaces for free and exploratory creation. Our proposal embodies this idea not through one grand gesture, but by many interwoven values. Archipelago, you've charmed me. I'd love to see more about this detail here, how it's made, what it's made out of. Images are great. Real broad range of styles here in terms of image, sketch, painting, artistic CGI, models. Looks like a well-considered piece of architecture for sure. Don't know if it makes the shortlist, but I like it anyway. Archipelago, I think I'm going to talk about you again some more. So that's it. That is another 10. We're pushing forward. You know the deal. Hit like, hit comment, hit subscribe. Let's keep talking. I'll keep pushing these out. We're going to do it. We're going to get all 623 projects reviewed. We're going to love it. It's going to be great. So please keep an eye out for the next episode. All the best. Goodbye.